Hey there, this is Miss Becky, the airheaded math teacher, and I'm here to show you about IXL section L3. We're going to go over domain and range radical functions. And any moment during this video, you'll probably find out why I can be a little bit airheaded. Maybe it's the age, maybe it's the blonde hair, who knows. So these radical functions, they have this equation. They look like this. We've got the radical sign. So I just thought I'd show you a little quick example here of what the graphs look like and why. So if x were 0, square root of 0, it would spit out a 0 for y. It's going to be this point here. If x were 1, square root of 1, it's going to be a 1. So we'd have a dot right about there. So I'm trying to just choose the square numbers here. So if x were 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to spit out a 2. And if x were 9, another square number, it's going to spit out a 3, something like that. So you see your line is going to kind of go off something like that, representing all of the square numbers. That's why it looks like that. Let's see, we cannot have say a -4 in here because there's nothing that I can multiply by itself. -2 times -2 is going to give us a +4. So there's no number that you're going to get a root that's going to give this to be a negative answer. That's why it starts at 0 and x is never going to be these negative numbers. So that's just explaining a little bit about that, why they sometimes have these different shapes. Now, you can like add numbers here. You can have a 4. You can make it negative. You can add more things on here, and you can see how these shapes kind of go up and down, and they flip it all around. But right now, we're just going to this isn't too hard. We can just look at these graphs and see. Make sure you look at what they're asking you for. So in example number 1, they're asking us for the domain, which are the x values. And so the smallest x value that we have here, we see the graph shows up here at when x is 2 and on. So in this set builder notation, we would look for x is greater than or equal to 2 because it actually shows up here. Okay, so the next one, we're looking for both the domain and the range. So the domain, the x values go right here to 9, -9. And then they go all the way over here. So our domain values, our x is -9. And on our range values are going to be our y's. So looking up and down, we see the graph, it shows up here at -2. So it's going to be -2 and upward. So we just need to find -9. Here it is, this one. Greater than or equal to -9. Y is greater than or equal to, oh, no, it's -2, not that one. No, see, almost made a mistake. -2. Tricky, tricky. Be careful. Example number 3, we don't have a graph, we have an equation. So what we're looking for is just whatever is inside the radical sign, and you take that, and this is off to the side, that's not underneath there, and you set it to be equal to, greater than or equal to 0, and then solve it. But hello, this one's already solved. So the domain is going to be any x value that is greater than or equal to 0. Now, this next one here, this is what's underneath the radical sign. So we'll solve that, set it to be greater than or equal to 0. So we're going to add a 1 on each side, and it gives us x is greater than or equal to 1. And that's going to be right here. We can ignore the other stuff for the domain. The next one, they're asking us for the range. Now, the domain, we were paying attention to what is under the radical. The range, this number right here, what is added or subtracted to this radical is the it's the y point on the, so actually it would show up at here. So that's what that is. So that's going to be greater than or equal to 2. That was not too difficult. On this one, they want to know the domain and the range. All right, so for the domain, we're going to take this x plus 3, and we're going to make it greater than or equal to 0. Solve it. X is going to be greater than or equal to -3. And for our range, it's going to be this number right there. So y is going to be greater than or equal to 5. Which is looking like this one. Not too shabby, not too shabby there. Alrighty. Last example. Domain and range. Doop, doop. All right. So this one might be a little trickier. We're going to, yeah, we're going to take this part, -5x plus 25, set it to greater than or equal to 0, and we'll solve that. All right, so first thing we'll do is get rid of this 25. Now we have -5x is greater than or equal to 0. Next step, we'll divide by -5. Divide this side by -5. So that gives us x. Now remember, when you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative sign, it flips the sign. Oh, so it's going to go this way, less than or equal to 0. Right. Wait 1 second. I made a boo-boo. We don't want to do that. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, my goodness. Look what I did. I didn't subtract 25. Silly me. Told you. Airhead. -25 divided by -5 gives us gives us 5. There we go. That's better. Okay, so the domain is going to be x is less than or equal to 5. Now for the range, we see that we have this +7 here. And they're all going to be less than or equal to 7. And the reason for that is because with these negative numbers, like this negative sign here, it actually flips the graph also. So we know that our range is less than or equal to 7. And that one's going to be this one. Looks like. There you go. So that's all I got to say about that. You just have to be really careful of these negative signs because they flip the graph here and there everywhere. I lied about that. I thought I'd show you on that last one. So this is the graph. This is a typical parent graph of the square root function. So you can see as we um, add stuff inside of here. So I put a -5 to see how that negative has then, whoops, flipped the graph. As you can see, just doing that has flipped it. And let's see, go back over here. Mm, Um, Wait, I'm going to put the 5 in there, which makes it bigger, a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to add the 25. You can see all the things that happen to it as we uh, change it. Here, I'll put on the 7, and you can see what it's doing. So you can see that um, it is flipped and it's going back this way. And I haven't even put that last negative sign in yet. So let's do that. Oh, and now it's flipped down there. So you can see here where the range would be, this is 7, or where y is 7, and it's going to be less than because the graph, it did some flipping with that negative sign. But anyways, that's all I got to say about that. And hope you do well in that section. Till next time.